This paperboy went missing for 24 years until one day, his mom received a mysterious package. 12-year-old Johnny Gosch woke up early one morning to deliver newspapers to his neighborhood in West Des Moines, Iowa. A few minutes into his route, a strange man with dark hair and a mustache stopped him to ask for directions. He was freaked out and began to walk away, but when he turned his back, the strange man was still following him and he kidnapped Johnny. A few hours later, Johnny's parents received a call from a neighbor who hadn't yet received their mail. And when they went to go look for him, all they found was a wagon full of newspapers. The police assumed that Johnny ran away, but the boy was missing for 24 years until one day, his mom received a mysterious package. Before I say what's in it, click the link in my bio and get Curiosity Stream. This was from one of their many documentaries and you can get your first year for $15. She opened the package and inside were photos of Johnny and other boys being tied up and abused.
There are some crazy things going on in the world right now. A 34-year-old blind man can now see after having his tooth implanted in his eye. I have to read more. He apparently spent over 2 decades trying to find a solution for his vision, and apparently his tooth was pulled, then flattened, and then a small hole was drilled into the center so that it could be used like a lens. And the crazy thing is they use a tooth because the body has a less likely chance of seeing it as a foreign object and rejecting it. The things we can do as humans. Wow. Apparently the Ghost of Yote's director celebrated the delay of GTA 6 so that they can release their game without any distraction. I've played a few hours of it and it's pretty great. Police in Germany were called to investigate a suspected ding-dong ditcher. When the police got to the scene, they just realized there was a slug on top of their Ring doorbell button. A woman from Virginia asked ChatGPT to generate her lottery ticket numbers. ChatGPT got 4 out of 5 of them right, and she won $150,000.
Did you know some angels are so scary, even demons are afraid of them? One of those angels is known as the archangel of death, and he's probably the most terrifying angel I've heard of. This angel refuses to show his true form, because just seeing him can drive demons and lower-ranking angels to insanity, and will instantly end a human's life. But if he ever does show you his true form, you'll see that he's entirely covered in tongues and eyes, and the number of tongues and eyes on his body are constantly changing to reflect the number of people who are currently alive on Earth. He also has 4 faces and 4,000 wings. Being one of God's oldest angels that came into existence, this angel is the embodiment of death itself, collecting all souls of people who passed away and taking them to the afterlife. Follow for more.
If a demon walks into your room whilst you're sleeping, just do what this guy did. There was once this guy called Lester Summerall who was going to bed like any other night when his window bursts open and a dark presence enters his room. Immediately, he knew it was a demon. He said all of a sudden the demon began to shake his bed and moved it into the middle of the room. At that moment, he jumped up and he commanded the demon to get out in the name of Jesus. Immediately, the demon left out the window. Sitting on his bed, a little bit confused at the situation, he then commanded the demon back into his room and said, "Put my bed back where you found it and close the window on the way out in Jesus' name." The demon obeyed every command he gave and put the bed right back where it was. If you know you have power over the devil in the name of Jesus, then subscribe for more.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. The pacu fish from South America has human-like teeth. There's a haunted Russian radio station. It's a low-frequency radio station that's been broadcasting since 1982, and no one knows where the broadcast is originating. When you die, your hearing is the last sense you lose. Speaking of death, finally, the death outnumber the living, 15 to 1. You swallow 1 to 2 cups of mucus every day. Pine trees can grow in human lungs. A man once went into surgery to remove what doctors thought was a tumor, but it was a pine tree growing in his lungs. There was a chicken called Mike the Headless Chicken. He lived for 18 months after its head was cut off. In 1800s, dentures were made out of the real teeth of deceased people. Yeah, with one dentist visit, you would have been eating with a dead man's teeth for the rest of your life. Like for part 3.
This is actually insane. A 23-year-old woman faked her entire pregnancy using a prosthetic baby bump, faking ultrasound scans, and even using a mechanical silicone baby to deceive her friends and family after giving birth. Bro, somehow she even convinced the baby's father. How? Now, pretending to be pregnant was the easy part. In public, she'd always wear a prosthetic, and online, she would post ultrasound scans and even come up with convincing details, like some of the tests showed that her baby had a heart defect. She had a gender reveal, a baby shower, and her loved ones turned up with expensive gifts like prams and a car seat. But when it came time to actually give birth, a little more tricky, but she was way too far to go back now. So she locked in. She gave birth completely alone. So brave. And then began posting pictures of her newborn, which turned out to be a hyper-realistic reborn doll, which, for anyone who doesn't know, these dolls can move, have facial expressions, and even pee and poo, and are often used as a form of therapy for those struggling with infant loss, dementia, or infertility. But they can set you back hundreds, if not thousands. However, eventually her family started suspecting that someone was sus. They never heard the child cry, they weren't allowed to touch it, and at this point, realizing that you'd have to freaking adopt a child, send it off to college if you wanted to continue this shit, she decided to call it a day by telling her boyfriend, the father, that the child died. Glad she let him down gently. But by that point, it was too late, and it all came out when her mother reportedly discovered the baby doll in her bedroom. Now, she has since apologized, saying, "You didn't deserve to be lied to like that. None of you did. Everyone who came to the gender reveal, all the people who gave me gifts or support. I just didn't know how to stop once I started. And to everyone I made look bad along the way, the dad and his family especially, I'm sorry."
Can someone explain to me what this thing is? Supposedly you can see if an app is spying on you. All you gotta do is click the share button, click more, and if an unknown app appears before your contacts, delete it immediately. What would you do if you found this in your ear? Did you know TikTok has a secret emoji? Just type the word cry, lowercase with the bars around it like this. Let's see who can actually do it. What would you do if you walked out your house and saw this?
Here are some interesting things that everybody in the world.
Yo, what's up? Here's some scary facts about our world that you probably didn't want to know. Part 6. Thinking too much can actually kill you. So, us going to school, in college, high school, middle school even, is actually slowly killing us. If you sit in an old chair, couch, or other piece of furniture, you are more likely to get possessed than if you were to sit in a modern day one. Why? Because just like an Annabelle doll, a lot of furniture has been involved in paranormal and demonic rituals, and well, that puts you at a higher risk to be possessed. There's a river in China called the Yellow River that's not just polluted by trash. In fact, it's polluted with over 10,000 dead bodies. It is estimated that over 65% of children have an imaginary friend that is dead and has been dead for years.
This pedophile couple in Germany sold their son to be abused by pedophiles, and let me tell you, this story is incredibly disturbing. The two people that formed this couple were known as Baron T and Christian L, and they lived in the town of Staufen in southwest Germany. In late 2017, the police received a tip-off and they immediately began investigating this ring, which led them to Baron and Christian. Now, German authorities always cover up the faces and identities of those who are accused and convicted for some reason, but I did manage to find real photos of them to help expose them and raise awareness. So Christian, the man in the couple, actually had 2 previous convictions for child-related crimes, one for possession of child pornography, and another for sexually abusing a 13-year-old girl. And eventually it was found out that Baron, the mother, actually allowed Christian to molest their child so that he wouldn't leave her, he wouldn't break up with her. But apparently somewhere along the way, Christian wasn't just happy with molesting his own children, he wanted to make some money off of it. And so the couple then not only started producing their own CSAM CP videos to be sold on the dark web featuring their kid, but they also started connecting with local and foreign pedophiles on the dark web and allowing them to rent their child for an evening. Yes, they literally sold their child to pedophiles to be molested. Now, you would imagine that for selling a child to pedophiles, the child that you're supposed to be watching over, and for molesting that child repeatedly over and over again, and also filming that molestation and posting it on the dark web for other pedophiles to enjoy, you would imagine that these people would get lengthy prison sentences, right? Well, no. They both received about 12 years in prison for these crimes. Interestingly, Baron, the mother, actually received 12 and a half years in prison, while Christian, the dad, he received even less. He got 12 years. It also came to light during the trial that they hadn't just abused and sold their 9-year-old son, they also facilitated and participated in the abuse of a 3-year-old girl. So people ask me what I feel like is wrong with the world today. One of the biggest things that I see consistently is extremely low sentences for pedophiles like this. It just absolutely boils my blood that someone can get convicted and serve a much longer time in prison based on drug charges, a longer sentence for possessing a controlled substance than for molesting a kid repeatedly, filming it, and selling that kid to other pedophiles to molest. Make this make sense, please. If you want to follow me on my journey to expose predators like this, please consider checking out my show, The Conspiracy Files. You can find it on YT or on any podcasting platform.
This 17-year-old boy died after a 911 dispatcher says, "Deal with it yourself." In 2015, a teenage girl named Esperanza made a 911 call after her friend Jaden was shot in a drive-by shooting at a house party. Matthew Sanchez, the dispatcher who answered the call, quit his job after the following audio clip was released to the public.
I'm keeping him alive. Okay, is he not breathing? Barely. There's one of us. One of us. There's okay. One of us. Yes. There you go, James. Good job. Just stay with me, okay? Okay? There you go. Good job, James. Is he breathing? He's barely breathing. How many times did the tell you? Okay, you know what, ma'am? You can deal with yourself. I'm not going to deal with this, okay? No, my friend is dying.
This angel is worse than Satan. The Book of Enoch explained a group of fallen angels known as the Watchers, and what they did will shock you. I'll explain the worst of these angels at the end of the video, so stay until the end. There are 200 of these angels that fell, and here are a few of their names: Samiaza, Azazel, Armaros, Arakil, and Barakil. Now let me explain why these angels are so bad. Azazel taught mankind how to make weapons for war. This act alone resulted in chaos, even still to this day. But it gets far worse. The leader of these angels, Samiaza, is far worse than Satan himself. Here's why. Not only was Samiaza the one responsible for leading every fallen angel to sin, he also led a series of experiments with the other fallen angels. They created a series of twisted, disfigured beings with human DNA and animal DNA. This whole story is spoken about in the Book of Giants. It says the 200 angels chose animals on which to perform unnatural acts, including presumably humans. I plan on releasing a full video on this exact story. If you are interested in that, follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel in my bio.
This is a story that shows you how real death can be. In Islam, when a baby is born, God gives the baby a name a written life story, and a date of death. And on the day of death, nothing and no one will stop the angel of death. This is a story of a Lebanese family, a mother and her teenage son. The son and his friends plan a trip after their high school graduation to celebrate. They were planning to fly to another country. He told his mom about this plan, but she was very scared for him. He was her only son. She felt like he was still too young to travel on his own with his friends. She begged him for weeks. She begged him not to go, but he insisted. The night before his morning trip, the son packs his bags and is ready to meet his friends at the airport the next morning. The alarm doesn't usually wake this boy up. He always relies on his mom to wake him up. So he asked her to wake him up at a certain time before the flight. The mother's heart had a wrong feeling about this. She decided not to wake him up. She wanted him to be late and miss this flight. His friends gave up waiting for him, and they eventually took that flight. The plane crashes only minutes after takeoff from a technical failure. She immediately sees the news that the plane her son was meant to take crashes, and there are no survivors. She finally runs to his room to wake him up and show him the news. But her son was already dead. He had a stroke in bed the same morning. Whether he took that flight or not, he was meant to die on this day. One piece of advice: when your mother has a wrong feeling about something, listen to her.
If the thought of your own death isn't horrifying enough, consider that scientists are now saying that you actually will be aware that you're dead for up to 20 seconds. For several decades, scientists have been studying people who claim to have near-death experiences. Whether you believe them or not, they're studying them and finding out more about what actually happens in the brain as death takes over. Approximately 5% of dying patients and 10% of cardiac arrest patients describe having near-death experiences where they float above their bodies, they see a white light, they travel through a tunnel, they see lost loved ones. Some people say that this proves that there is an afterlife, and other people say that it proves that there's something neurological going on. So scientists have been studying rats. They stopped their hearts and checked their brain waves and found that their brain was flooded with a ton of electrical current. Some people think that that explains the white light and the tunnel and the falling and the sort of psychedelic experiences that happen to people, but there is no proof because obviously we don't know what a rat is seeing in their mind. Having a near-death experience is there's a chemical reaction going on in your brain. Some people have attributed it to what they call DMT. There is no proof that the levels of DMT in your brain actually increase at the point of death. But they have done research comparing the experiences of people who've had near-death experiences and people who've had psychedelic trips on ketamine or on DMT, and they find that they are quite similar, and the word that people most often use to describe these things is reality, which is interesting. What we do know is that at the point of death, there's a huge surge of neural activity in your brain. Whether or not we know that we're dead is not 100% certain, but there are many people who have had near-death experiences and have heard their own death announced by a surgeon or by a family member, which is pretty fucking wild and I think absolutely terrifying.
You have to see this. The Grim Reaper may have actually been caught on camera. So this video I'm about to play is coming out of El Salvador, where there have been recent reports of paranormal manifestations accompanying tragic events. Some paranormal investigators say that this was the angel of death caught on camera. Watch this. In this video, you can see the moment that a driver loses control of their vehicle, crashes through a guardrail, and ends up in a ravine. The accident resulted in the death of the driver. Now this is the strange part. Moments after the car crashes, a truck passes by, and on this truck, you can see a dark humanoid figure standing and seemingly observing the car crash. Paranormal investigator Caesar Sagat believes that this was the angel of death, who is cited in parts of the Bible, and who he says is responsible for transporting souls to the spiritual world.
This is a true horrifying story of the moment you will see the angel of death. This is a moment that every human being that ever lived will see. This angel has been mentioned in all the sacred texts, including Sikhism. In Judaism, the name of this angel is Israel. However, in Islam, this angel's name has not been defined, even though many Muslims believe that it is Israel, though it is not the real name. Every religion describes this angel with minor differences, but generally, he is known to do one thing only. Angels are beautiful beings. There are billions of them, or maybe even trillions around us. They are huge, and they are powerful, and they are made from light. However, there are 4 angels that you do not want to meet. Malik, the guardian of hellfire. Munkar and Nakir, the angels that test the faith of the dead in their tombs. And lastly, the angel of death. There is a narration that I'm not 100% sure about, but it says, the angel of death passes by and looks at every human being 5 times a day, waiting for their time to come. And you know these random shivers that you get? It is said to be that this was a moment that the angel of death has looked at you. I am not sure myself, but we can have Mu'min Abu Mecca to confirm if this is true or not. But what I can definitely confirm is this. This is what will happen the moment you see the angel of death. You will go through a sudden moment where time will be frozen. All your surroundings will no longer be your reality. Your brain will start releasing a chemical called DMT. Your eyes will start to unveil the real world. You will see the darkest being ever created approaching you. You will feel unexplainable pain, and you will start to see your soul leave your body. This is a moment billions of people have been through, and you will too. No human being is immortal. One day, in your lifetime, you will meet this angel.